once again. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell adjourning the Senate for August recess. No more voting until September 8th, after Democratic lawmakers and White House officials could not reach an agreement on coronavirus aid. Lawmakers will not return until September, and the votes will resume on the 8th of September. Some hope remains. White House senior advisor Jared Kushner said yesterday a stimulus deal could still happen. They are all on call, he said. Joining me right now is Michigan Congresswoman, House Energy and Commerce Committee member Debbie Dingell. Congresswoman, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you've been staying strong throughout this coronavirus shutdown and this craziness. Your reaction to what has taken place, why can't the two sides get together on a stimulus deal? What's holding it up?
Quite frankly, I don't know. And I want to make it really clear to listeners that in the House, we will come back in 24 hours to do something about this. Maria, I'm out there. I am talking probably more than I should be. I always have my mask and I keep my physical distance. People are scared. They don't know how they're going to pay their rent. They're worried about unemployment. They're afraid they're going to be evicted. And we've got a food supply in communities that you don't expect it. They want us to do something. So this week, Democrats put on the table they'd come down $1 trillion if the president would come and the Republicans in the Senate would come up. We got a job to do, and our job is to get this done. So I wish Mitch McConnell wasn't giving up and going home. I think that shows poor leadership on their side. We got to get to this table and do something.
But why then is Nancy Pelosi putting all this stuff in the bill that has nothing to do with the coronavirus?
Okay, but I'm assuming by the nothing to do, you're talking the post office. And the post office, people, first of all, they're relying on the post office. And I long before all this fuss up started, I've been working with my postal workers and my post offices. Mark Meadows helped me 2 years ago when there were issues. I was at a VA hospital this week. The Veterans Hospital's worried that they're not getting their medicine. I've had seniors call me crying. They're not getting their Social Security checks. It's a glue of our civil society. Let's not have dusts up. And you know, by the way, okay, yesterday's comments by the president were very, very confusing. He's not going to give money to the post office because he doesn't want people to be able to participate and vote by mail. We should, all of us, want maximum participation in a safe system. And it makes no sense. I do not know why we have to.
Well, here's what the president said about that.
You did it on your show.
Here's what the president said about that, Congresswoman. Yeah, because he's talking about the potential for fraud and why these negotiations are focused on mail-in voting rather than getting money in people's hands. Here's the president yesterday. Watch this, Congresswoman. Nancy Pelosi said that the Democrats want to, and the White House are still miles apart on stimulus.
Well, they're right, and it's their fault. They want $3.5 billion for something that'll turn out to be fraudulent. That's election money, basically. They want $3.5 billion for the mail-in votes. Okay, universal mail-in ballots. $3.5 trillion. They want $25 billion for the post office. Now, they need that money in order to have the post office work so it can take all of these millions and millions of ballots. Now, in the meantime, they aren't getting there. By the way, those are just two items. But if they don't get those two items, that means you can't have universal mail-in voting.
The other items, of course, is money to cities and states, Congresswoman, but some of those cities and states have been, you know, messing up their balance sheets for years, even before the coronavirus. But look, what do you do to those people who may be, you know, signing 2 mail-in ballots, those people who don't live in California anymore but are getting their ballots mailed to them? I mean, how do you ensure there's no fraud? You say, sure, why not allow mail-in voting? Well, because it could open up the door to fraud.
You know, Maria, I could even show you the flyer I got that has President Trump in Michigan encouraging people to vote by mail. We do need to make sure there's no fraud. I'm really worried about that. But the fact, and let's talk about the other things that are in this bill. That large amount of money he's talking about, it's to extend unemployment. Yeah. We have a child care crisis in this country. People say, oh, that unemployment payment's keeping people from working.
Well, what do you say about these polls? What do you say about these polls then? Because the new polls that we have from Fox News this morning, Congressman, show this race tightening. Joe Biden is holding a lead, a 7-point lead over President Trump nationwide, but the lead has tightened from the previous poll. 39% of voters think their neighbors are supporting President Trump, compared to just, as you see, 34% for the former vice president. This is an important one, because this tells you that people are afraid to tell you who they're voting for. And now more voters say that they trust President Trump to do a better job in the economy compared to Joe Biden.
Okay,
Your reaction to
Maria,
these new Fox News polls?
This is Debbie Dingell you're talking to. So 4 years ago, what did I say to you? And no one believed me. Donald Trump could win. I don't believe many of the polls out there have been very clear about this all summer. But I think President Trump has one big problem. This isn't an economy election. It's a COVID election. So I was with I've been out, as I say. I was with a group of women who are, suburban women aren't just suburban women. They're complicated. Some of them work. Some of them are moms. They don't know if their kids are going to school. They don't know how they're going to do childcare. They have parents that are going to retire because of pre-existing conditions, parents who need caregiving. Women are scared to death. People are scared to death. Union workers. I was down at Taylor Sunday talking to union workers.
Well, I think that's what he's saying. I think that's what he's saying. He thinks that portion of the population, suburban women, are going to vote for him because they want security. Look what Mayor de Blasio is doing in New York. He just moved in low-income housing. He put in homeless shelters right next door to some of the biggest, richest buildings in New York. He said, what? We can all live together. It's not what happened. The rich people left. They left New York. Money is mobile, Congressman. They're leaving.
And we need to make sure that everybody's being treated equally and that they have equal access to health care and a variety of other things. But I want to go back to a point a minute ago, Maria. Those women he thinks are going to vote for him are worried about him because they don't think he's handling COVID right. And they want someone who's going to keep them safe. He's talking about, there are issues on the defund the police.
Joe Biden said that he was prejudiced. Joe Biden said that the president was prejudiced when he said that no more travel from China on January 31st. Joe Biden said, why would he do this? That's prejudice.
I am going to tell you that we need to worry about China as a country. And but we can't just I live in Dearborn. You can't take all of my constituents and paint a paintbrush, and too many people do. So it makes me angry.
Of course.
We got to be careful about language.
You don't want to lose those workers. You don't want to lose those workers to China, do you, Debbie? You want your workers in Michigan. No. I know that. And you don't want them at some assembly line in Beijing or Xinjiang. All right, look, we got to keep talking about this. Come back soon, Congresswoman. Thanks so much.
All right.
Good to see you. Debbie Dingell. We'll be right back.